I'm not supposed to be in here, but I am. Hey guys, what's up? It's Retro, and today I'm here at 24 Hours of Daytona, and that's the winning car right ahead. Let's go.
It's time for another On The Spot! On The Spot!
Race car drivers are some of the most physically fit people on the planet. Can you help people understand what you went through to prepare for not only this 24-hour endurance race, but also for an IndyCar season?
Well, actually, I have to admit that I've always did a pretty intense workout preparation for my activity of a race car driver, but I thought I was training until one day I engaged myself into a new sportive adventure, which is paracycling. I had this aim of trying to go to the Paralympic Games, and I then realized what the word training really means, because in a sport like paracycling, as I said, where I am the engine, my muscles is what is powering the vehicle, every ounce of performance you can generate, it's obviously very, very important. And so, yeah, I now know what the word training really means, and I had to redefine that. But this all said, of course, to drive a modern racing car these days is a pretty demanding physical exercise, especially because of the longitudinal and lateral forces that the car is capable to generate when you steer, when you brake, when you accelerate. And you know, you can reach up to 4 Gs, which means 4 times the weight of your body that is being pushed into the direction of that force. And normally when this happens, you tend to hold your breath because it's almost impossible to breathe. And so the effort that you have to develop with your muscle in steering the wheel, in holding on position, becomes even harder because of this hold. So yeah, your question is, what do we do? Well, everybody, I'm sure, has his own program, maybe his own trainer. I have mine, but these days, you know, I'm so fit because of what I had to do in paracycling that driving a car is actually a piece of cake.
Because a lot of people are saying, oh, they can't be that fit to even drive a car because it's just like street driving. The IndyCar people who love IndyCar, they're like, no, because a lot of these people have to be fit to do this. I'd like to see you try.
No, it's actually true that to drive an Indy car, it's very, very demanding from a physical point of view. Bit this, there was a Formula 1 team called Zanardi. They made a 2-seater, like the one that Mario is driving this day, Mario Andretti. Well, to cut a long story short, they put up some laps for charity, where people would pay like $10,000 for 1 lap behind a professional race car driver. And in those days, they didn't have all that sophisticated telemetry. So all they had was 2 buttons. If you push the green one, it would mean that everything is okay and the driver in front would see a green light. If you push the red, it would be slow down. It's too much for me. So the driver took off, and this guy who had paid $40,000 for 4 laps immediately pressed the red button. So the driver slowed down. A few seconds later, he pressed the green button. So he speeded up a little, and then the light just stayed green for the entire lap. So he thought it was fine. When he stopped, the guy had blacked out, basically. He did 4 laps totally unconscious of what was happening. But this, again, it's because of, you know, the forces that this type of machine is capable of generating. An IndyCar has, you know, a lot of grip coming from the tires, but then you have the downforce generated by the wind and all the aerodynamical elements in the car, which is the multiplier of that grip. And so the car is really capable of reaching speeds around the turns that are unimaginable for normal human beings. It's like a jet fighter, you know, and from a physical point of view, it's absolutely right to say that a normal human being cannot sustain that type of forces without a proper training.
With all the achievements in driving technology, such as what Aero Electronics does with Sam Schmidt and what BMW is doing with you, do you think that you'll be physically fit as you were at age 52? You will ever attempt to race Indy 500? Would it help if BMW were somehow involved?
It would be fantastic. I don't know, you know. In fact, you said it, at the age of 52, I should be happy to stay home and watch television with my wife. But in reality, I'm a very lucky man because I have a lot of opportunities, and why shouldn't I take advantage whenever I can, you know? It's as simple as that. So you don't want to be too greedy in life. You don't want to be obsessed by having to add other stuff. But again, when you have the possibility and you can tune your brain into the heart's wishes, well, just try to find a way to get the job done and to do what you want. And that was the case with the Paralympic Games, where I was able to win 4 gold medals in 2 different editions, and with all the things that I've been able to do in motorsports. So, I don't know. I mean, it's not that important that I have another opportunity, but if I will certainly try to do my best to take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, a lot of people want to see you racing a 500 because they think it would be like so cool to see someone with no legs and beat everyone out who and everyone's like, wow, that would be so cool. So do you think you would want to go into the 500?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is yes. For sure, I would want. It would be fantastic, but again, it's not like saying, hey, I need some bread, let's go down to the grocery store and buy some, you know. It's a pretty complicated thing to, you know, to make it happen. I'm saying that technically speaking, I think to drive at Indy would be much easier than drive around a circuit like this one, where you have to brake hard, to steer left, right, to deal with shifting, to deal with a lot of things that at Indy are not happening. At Indy, what it takes is the skill, is the capability to read the car, to know when to go and when to go. It's a different type of game for which it's more the knowledge rather than, you know, the technical equipment to deliver, because in reality, in a place where most of the time you stay wide open and you just steer the wheel, in fact, for a disabled man like I am, it would be, you know, less of a problem, let's put it that way. Whether this is going to happen in this life of mine, I don't know. It sounds like the clock is ticking and time is almost over, but I'm certainly extremely proud of a young girl like you asking me this question, really meaning I wish I could see this happening.
How long do you plan to continue racing sports cars? If there is any end sight for you or having much fun right now, will you be at more races this year?
Well, it's a good question, but I don't have an answer in reality, because as I said previously, I'm a fortunate person who has a lot of possibility. Therefore, I have to be smart in making the right decision, because I cannot do everything that is offered to me. Even if this means that some of the things that I can't do would be really cool things to do if I had the time. So I have to make the right choice. When I was offered to drive here in Daytona, I was thrilled by this opportunity, because I always wanted to do this race, and And yeah, and I try to prepare together with all the technicians up in Munich at BMW Motorsport to the best of my ability. But that took a lot of effort, a lot of time, in which I could not do other things, you know. Right now I have the aim, or let's say the hope, to qualify for the games in Tokyo in 2020. So this is a realistic project for me. If BMW is gonna come again and ask me, Alex, do you want to drive this race? It's like to ask the cat whether he likes the mouse. For sure I will be tempted, but I don't treat this all like a professional opportunity, because fortunately I don't have to set a career for my future, you know. I've done what I wanted to do in my life, so whatever I do, first of all I want to enjoy it, and I will certainly do it to the best of my ability. I will try to bring the best approach I can as far as being professional, dedicated, you name it. But let's see what the future brings and not be too anxious to discover it.
I have been learning a lot about Greg Moore through my dad over the years. I was hoping you could share your first fond memory that comes to mind when you think back about him, on or off the track.
It's tough to answer in a way that can be perceived in the right way, because normally when you talk about somebody that is not longer with us, everybody has good things to say, right? They tend to say, oh, that guy was so special. But Greg was really special, was a real fighter, a guy with who I often had arguments, because we were made out of the same material, basically. We were both hot heads. We would both argue for the same square inch of circuit, and when two cars are pointing in the same direction, often you have wheel banging and all this sort of stuff. But nevertheless, it was a loyal opponent, and very respectful of the most important rules, and it was a pleasure to race it with him. Even if most of the time when you were racing with him, you would come away beaten, and because he was a strong driver. And I remember in particular in '98, after the season was over, and I had already announced basically that I would go and drive in Formula One. We were playing pool together one night, and we already had a couple of glasses of wine, so we were, let's say, not drunk, but more happy than you are normally. He turned to me and he just, with this grin in his face, and he said, "You bastard, you going away. I would have had you next year, I'm sure." And you could really tell that he was absolutely sincere. He was missing the opportunity to challenge me once more, even if he knew that, you know, it would have been tough to beat me, because had I stayed with Ganassi, of course I would have been really strong once more, you know, driving for one of the most competitive teams. So yeah, this is the type of guy he was.
Do you think the record books would be look a lot different if he was still with us today?
Yes, sure. Yes, because he was certainly a rising star. He had great results, great achievement, but for sure he was on the way of getting better ones.
Well, thank you so much for talking with me. You are going to inspire a lot of people with this video to follow their dreams and go out there, even if they're injured, they're going to still try their hardest.
I really appreciate the time you share with me. Normally it should be you saying this to me, but I'm saying this to you. And I really enjoy, you know, this moment with you. Good luck, be curious, and never forget that life is a great opportunity, so try to take advantage.
Well, this is Florida. Welcome to Daytona in January. So I just finished up talking to Alex Zanardi, and he was so awesome, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you smash like and all that good stuff, and I'm going to go home because I am freezing.
big one.
Oh, you were not good enough. It took your kid to kick my butt big time. Hey, congratulations also for, you know, how mature is the kid you raised. Very, very impressed.
That's very nice. I'm so impressed with what you did.
Go and celebrate.
Okay.